real high-class bout. It's on!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Arsenal X, the Xbox podcast here on Boss Rush Games. We're going to start part 2 of this episode. We have a bunch of questions to answer. Remember, if you have a question, you can email us at arsenalxpodcast@gmail.com or tweet at us at arsenalxpodcast. You can also leave a comment in our Facebook group or our Discord, which we're going to start pushing this, now because we haven't been. Deshaun Malone writes in. He says, "Hey, y'all, really enjoyed the last few episodes. I want to say I'm enjoying the awesome podcast y'all provide every week and allowing me to chill in some chats and stuff online." I think you wrote this question into the other show, too. But y'all are really killing it. Here's my question. What makes your shows fulfilling? How do you feel about everything? Thanks, and hope y'all have a Merry Christmas. Thanks, Deshaun. We appreciate you,
thank you.
We appreciate you. I kind of already answered this question on the other show. I guess I'll let you guys talk. I mean, I'll answer it about Arsenal X in particular. But I want to ask Joe and Josh in particular because they're the newest cast members of this show. How do you guys feel?
For me, it really comes down to I love doing this week in and week out because I get to come together with friends and talk about something that I'm pretty passionate about. I love talking about video games, specifically about Xbox and about Destiny, of course. And to get to do that with like-minded individuals it's a treat. I mean, whether you're doing it for 10 people or 1,000 people, it's fulfilling. And knowing that people enjoy what we do, that we're not just streaming into the void of the internet, is reassuring too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So y'all keep coming back, so I assume that it's not because of our dashing good looks.
I don't know. I switched up. I switched it up today. Jingle bells, motherfucker. Joe, what about you?
I would say that, well, first off, I think that I am self-diagnosed. I have ADHD. I have a lot of different hobbies that I enjoy, and I do like maybe 20 minutes of each at a time, and then I have to move on to something else. I lose interest pretty quickly. So the one thing that doing this, setting a rhythm and a consistent schedule, consistency helps me out a lot. It puts a mile marker for me to always come back and being like, hey, remember that thing you like? You should sit down and just reflect on that. And having you guys bounce stuff, ideas and thoughts back and forth really helps me no, I do like playing video games. I appreciate it. I do have thoughts on them. So I think it's helped me focus and kind of settle down and kind of carve out like the things like, hey, this is the hobby you like. You should kind of stick with that so that you're good at that hobby in some way, shape, or form. And whether that's actually playing the game or just having opinions on the game or being able to speak with some level of thought behind it to other people and create a consistent thought, I think is a huge win for me personally. And the fact that other people listen to it, and I'm assuming, I don't know if you guys are listening for me or for anyone else, or it's the group mentality or whatever. It's a good feeling to know that like other people are hearing those thoughts and they still are listening.
They're listening for you specifically, Joe.
It's just me personally.
They want to call it
mail.
Arsenal Joe, the Joe Box podcast.
Arsenal of One. No, but it's weird because whenever I first started, I did one episode. I don't want to say randomly, but it was pretty like a short. It's like, hey, do you want to do this? And it's like, yeah, we'll do that. And then you said, like, would you want to be on it regularly? And I was like, sure. And it's like, I didn't know how to feel about it then. Like, it's like, I like talking about it. I liked you guys, and I don't mind talking about it. And now each week, it's like, when we took that 1 week off for Thanksgiving, it felt weird. It was a weird week for me. Like, it was just very odd to be like, oh, I have all this pent up thoughts that I can't speak to anybody in my house about because they don't understand it. They're either too young or don't care.
Yeah.
Your wife's too young, huh?
My wife's too young. My kids don't care.
I couldn't have said it better. I'm right there with you, like on like the almost therapeutic like release that the show gives. It's in a ways, honestly, doing this is kind of I get some selfish stuff
You saved
from
my
it.
marriage twice now.
Yeah. Because I can relate on like almost everything you said. And I even up to I did have ADD when I was younger, and I'm pretty sure I still have it because it's really hard for me to focus most of the time. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I just enjoy being able to talk about stuff. And for the longest time, like at my job for years, I was the only one there. And I told Corey and Ed when I first joined them to do the podcast that I didn't have like adult conversations because I went to work. I was the only adult there. I came home. I was with my kids, and my wife would come home later, and I would go back to work. Like that was my day. There was no adult conversations for the most part throughout my day, and you start to miss that when it's gone. And so like doing this just gives me the chance to, kind of reflect, like you said, and just be able to have a chance to talk about, things as an adult. And I look forward to it every week. It's great. Like, and Xbox, I mean, we're talking about Xbox. It's definitely my favorite since the original came out. Like I've been hooked on Xbox. So
yeah. I mean, for me, like, I feel like just podcasting in general has been like, since we started Boss Rush, and before it was even called Boss Rush, out of like the stuff that happened with the Nerds Gone Rogue, Jesse, you were here for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was like that whole kind of like thing when it ended, and just how certain things happened. Like it was devastating especially for me in particular. Like, and it like almost killed my joy and passion for any of this stuff. Like I thought about just like not doing it anymore. I thought about just like, man, I didn't play games for probably like 2 months after that, right? Like I was just like, I don't want to do any of this anymore. And like, honestly, the conversation I had with Ed and you in particular, like helped me kind of get through it. And still like those first like couple months of this was like, it felt like going through the motions of the old project, right? Like I kind of lost like everything the passion that I had for it, right? And then we brought back Nintendo Power Block, and I thought that would make it better. And I was like, okay, this is a step in the right direction, but I'm still not like, I don't know how to feel about this because it just feels like we're retreading stuff. And then you wanted to bring this show back, and like we were like, okay, I do want to talk about Xbox because there's a lot of interesting things coming, and we know the new box is coming soon. Let's do it. But like my whole thing was like, how are we going to bring it back? And like you and I just did it for a while, and it was, how do we make this show? How do we give the show personality, right? Like how do we bring it back in a fun, cool way? And it actually wasn't until like probably episode 100, 101, 102 where we like kind of found the right footing for this show. I mean, we did 15 episodes where we like, do we make it a general conversation about Xbox? Do we make it like a news show? Do we kind of do both? Do we answer questions? But we weren't getting a lot of questions because not a lot of people knew that we brought the show back. And like, I think adding Josh and Joe really added to the personality we wanted for the show in particular. And like, it wasn't until this summer where I actually kind of like found the passion for doing this again.
Pulled us, Josh, you guys pulled us out of the funk.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I mean,
I'll take full credit. You're welcome.
I mean, like, to be completely open with everybody, like, it was me, Ed, and Jesse and Ray, and like, you know, then like, you know, Ray started doing his Twitch thing, and like, I wanted to support him in doing that, and like, you know, then it was just you, me, and Ed, and like, I didn't really know what to do, and like adding, like, we had Celeste on Nintendo Power Block one night, and like, she kind of brought that show back to life in a weird way, and then we added LaRon, right, and then like, we just kind of started meeting people or asking friends to do stuff, and like, the way each show kind of evolved and brought new life to, you know, everything. This show in particular, Tower Casuals in particular, like, it's this summer, the way everything kind of evolved from like adding people this summer, and now where we're at now is like, a year ago, I would have told you we weren't doing this, like, in a year. Like, that's personally how I felt. And now, like, the passion was reignited full force, and this show, like, doing the podcasts every week, like, I'm hosting Boss Rush again, doing this show, doing Tower Casuals, is like, those are the highlights of my week every week, and like, pushing forward and making sure these shows are the best shows they can possibly be, and getting to spend Sunday nights with my friends is like, I couldn't have asked for it to turn out any better. So,
Yeah,
you know, it's your guys' fault. But no, but in all fairness, like, thank you guys for being here every Sunday and like giving the show a personality and bringing the fun back to something that I lost passion for last year.
You're welcome.
So you can hear that full story on 1v1 on January 4th. My 1v1 revisited. So all right, we're gonna go to the next question. Marshall Malone. Hey, that's Deshaun's brother. He hasn't written it in a long time. He says, what are some of your favorite Christmas memories, gaming related?
Getting my Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color.
That was going to be my same one, where like,
yeah,
I got my Nintendo 64 for Christmas. All right. But like, my grandma used to spend the night at our house on Christmas Eve and like help my mom make breakfast for us, and we would open all the gifts, but she didn't spend the night that year. And so like, she was really late to Christmas that year. And so I opened all my presents, and like, I got Mario 64 for Christmas, but I didn't get a Nintendo 64. And I was really confused and concerned. And then my grandma brought a bunch of presents in, right? And I opened her presents, and I was like I was, I don't want to sound like I was a dickhead child, but like, I was like, where's the Nintendo 64? Am I just supposed to stare at this cardboard box all Christmas? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? And like, after we ate breakfast and stuff, my grandma's like, hey, there's one more bag in the trunk of my car. Can you go get it? So I ran out and got it, and I didn't think it was a present. She just said it was a gift, or she was just said it was a bag. And I brought it in, and she told me to open it, and she gave me a Nintendo 64 for Christmas. It was the best fucking Christmas of my life.
I got, I've already shared how Grandma still to this day buys a video game for Christmas Eve. Even though lately I've been the one picking them out, and it's things that she never would ever buy me. My grandma does not believe in M-rated video games, but
the Bible game.
No, not that, but it's, you know, things like Pokemon, Mario. She still thinks I'm like 8 years old. Getting my N64 and the Game Boy. It was the same year that Pokemon Yellow came out, so I got the Pokemon Game Boy Color, and that's just no other Christmas has ever compared for video games for me. I mean, there was a time I got the GameCube, but you know, after that it was like, oh, there's the PSP. I loved my PSP. I loved my Vita. They weren't the N64 though. They were not Star Wars Rogue Squadron. I got the Episode 1 Racer bundle.
Ooh.
And my dad was on leave from the military at the time, so I tried getting him to play with me, and he's just like, "Son, why are you playing this? Why are you not outside?" I'm like, "I don't want to go outside, Dad. I want to race pods."
The N64 version of that game, though, by the way, it's not the ideal version to play. That draw distance is so bad.
You know what? 6-year-old me did not care.
Yeah,
I mean, fair.
I mean, look at go back to GoldenEye once, and then you're like, play it now, and you'll ask yourself, how the hell did we ever think this was a good game?
Yeah, it looks like Cyberpunk on last.
Play it on the Nintendo 64 controller.
Yeah.
Oof.
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
in
like
retrospect, I'm surprised that any of us liked as many games as we did on the N64, because God, that controller is bad.
Yeah. Clearly made for Mario 64, and that's it.
I have
Yeah.
a lot of holiday-related gaming memories that stand out. There's one where when me and my girlfriend, my wife now, but girlfriend at the time,
Your
had
side piece.
Yeah, we moved in together.
Ooh.
And we didn't have
Twist.
a lot of money, so I had an Xbox and a PlayStation 2 at that time, and I had to decide because I needed to sell one because we were moving in together and money's tight. And I sold my PlayStation 2, but then that Christmas was our first Christmas together. She bought me like one of those GameStop things where she bought me the PlayStation 2 and like 10 used games, but basically like every great game for PlayStation 2 stands out. But the one memory that I'll never forget this. It was probably around 99. It had to have been. I was off of school and I had gotten for Christmas two things that I remember. I got a bunch of pajama pants when pajama pants were like the thing, like those weird character printed, like really loose fitting velvety pants with the drawstring.
Oh, yeah.
I'd got pajama pants and I got Donkey Kong 64, right?
Nice.
And I was obsessed with that Donkey Kong game. Like, just it was a game that you could 100%. There was collectibles. There was a bunch of stuff to do. It was also like, if I'm not mistaken, like almost a Metroid-esque game where you would like, go to an area and you'd have to like find. You wouldn't be able to do something. You'd have to like remember and go back in like a 3D space. It was anyway. I was playing that nonstop, and I came down for Christmas dinner, and I was still in my pajama pants. And I was like, I just want to eat so I can go back up and play. And my sister was like, and this is like in our house. There was no company. It was like my family of 4, and my sister was dressed up in like a sweater with makeup, and her hair was done, and it's for like Christmas dinner. And I came down in pajama pants, and I'm sure like a t-shirt with a hole in it. And she's like, "Did you even shower today?" And my mom was like, she's like, "You just been playing that game all day." And my mom turned to her and she's like, "Leave him alone. If he wants to play the game, this is Christmas. This is what he wants to do with his life. He can do it." And I just was like, ate my mashed potatoes in my pajama pants and went right back up to my bedroom and finished playing that game. And that, like, to me was like, it was, the gift wasn't the pajama pants or Donkey Kong. It was the ability to play the fucking game in the peace and quiet. I got to do what I wanted to do. It was empowerment, and I will never forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is some of the better parts of Christmas, is when you can just you get everything's opened, everything's kind of done. You get to spend time with the family, but you also get that time to just be like, okay, I don't have to think about work. I don't have to think about school. I don't have to think about, any of these things for today. And I can just enjoy having a vacation and actually feel like a vacation. Because sometimes vacations we take, you need a vacation from that vacation and be successful and just, in a different way. But yeah, for me, I honestly don't have a whole lot of game related things for Christmas. obviously, or honestly, just because like like literally the day I turned 14, I got a real job that paid with the paycheck and all that stuff. So I bought a lot of my stuff myself pretty early on. But when was like newly with my wife, I really wanted the Wii when it came out, the first one, and very, very surprisingly, her brother ended up actually getting it for me for Christmas. So when we were at my wife's, like doing our Christmas thing, I mean, like I'm talking like 100%, not even an option of it happening. And so like that was pretty amazing. Like just not expecting it even slightly, and opening up and seeing that, I was so excited and surprised. So like that definitely by far is probably got to be the my most memorable one. So
Let me tell you what I did to say it. I stood in line for a Wii, all right, in the middle of November in northern Ohio, and it was like 15 degrees out, and I wore flip-flops and basketball shorts and a hoodie for 9 hours in the blistering cold outside, and I got it, but then I wondered why I was sick for 4 days. So
did you find out why?
No, never did.
Oh, jeez, mystery.
You're lucky Darwin didn't get to you.
Yeah,
He tried.
yeah,
Oh, he tried real hard.
you were allergic to the Wii. That's what it was.
Yeah, I got COVID way back then.
Yeah.
Ashley Davidson writes in. She says, "Hello, everyone. I just want to say thanks for everything you guys are doing. How do you guys feel about the level of difficulty it is to find one of the new Xboxes and PlayStation? My partner and I have been wanting to get a next-gen machine, and it's incredibly difficult."
It fucking sucks.
It does.
Yeah. I read an article though. I don't know if you guys had seen it at all, but I forget. I don't think it was Kotaku. I don't remember who wrote the article now, but they had tried to get the new consoles through Walmart, and were unsuccessful last time that they came up. I believe it was the PlayStation 5. But with Walmart's website, it actually gives you the option to save for a later. And so they did that, and then when the restock came in, if you go to your save for later file, they were literally able to just click on it, pay for it, and boom, they got two of them that way. So it's like a little tiny workaround. Now they said they can't guarantee that it's going to work that easily every time, but I mean, at this point, man, if you're desperate to find something and there's any kind of loophole or any kind of thing that can give you a foot up, like honestly, and so I would imagine it would work for either console, because if that's a feature that Walmart's website has, I mean, for me, I was just really fortunate that when Corey got one and they, Amazon decided to, instead of just saying, hey, we're going to cancel all these orders and you're shit out of luck, try, better luck trying next time, that they just kept us in a queue and said, hey, when stuff becomes available, these people who already got through and paid for one or whatever will have first dibs. Like, I feel like it's too bad that they couldn't have some kind of system like that set up where people can get through and they'll say, hey, right away that, hey, you're not getting one. But that would be a bummer though too, because if there's people who are using bots that got through, and then they can just buy like 100 of them then next time that they come into stock without even having to try, that would kind of be BS. But
yeah. Let me tell you the easiest way. This is how I've done it both times. Okay. You get on Twitter. If you don't have a Twitter, sign up for Twitter. Follow Wario64. Turn on notifications. And that's how I've gotten it both times.
Yeah.
So, also, like this week, I've been trying to help people find PlayStations and Xboxes. Successfully helped 4 different people this week. Pretty proud of myself. But I mean that seems to be the easiest way that I've been able to do it.
Honestly, yeah. So it sucks right now, and the least of which supply issues are going to continue to be a problem while we're still dealing with COVID for another couple of months. Now that they have stopped production of the PS4 Pro, I assume the One X and the One S are done being produced. Those factories should be fully switched over. If they haven't already, they should be by Christmas. By the time you're listening to this, they should be switched over. They will start selling these consoles in store, presumably, as more and more people get vaccinated. So when that happens, because both Sony and Microsoft decide we're not selling consoles in store, it'll be you have to order it online and then in-store pickup, which, to be fair, is helping people in some areas get them a little bit more. It's not just going exclusively to resellers, but like Amazon, like that's gone. Like that's going to be rough no matter what. Plus, they oversold to begin with.
Yeah.
Your best bet, honestly, is to monitor like Target, Walmart, and Best Buy, like we said through Warrior 64. Or any other like cheap ass gamer places like that for a notification as soon as they go live. Like you just got to be on it. It sucks, but I mean, I was freaking out because day one when I was trying to order mine, it took me an hour and a half to be able to secure one, and I only got it because of the Amazon link that went live, and then I almost didn't get mine launch day. So. It's rough, but I mean, everybody wants to be the first to get something too. Like you will get it, and unfortunately, like if there's a game you're really wanting to play on it, like for example Destiny or Cyberpunk, it really sucks because those games are like remarkably better on the new consoles.
Yeah,
it sucks, but you know what I learned from the Wii, just it will pass. I promise. Pass. They are better at doing this now than they have ever been. If you're trying to get a PlayStation, also, I would say for either of these consoles, camp out a PlayStation Direct website and the Microsoft Store. Microsoft Store has refreshed. That's how I got my Series S, and that's how I got Buddy a Series X. He ordered it. It came like 3 weeks later, but he still got it. So I would suggest camping out the actual retailer stores online. That's just me. I feel like a lot of people don't think about that. And you get free shipping, so.
Yeah.
And it's much easier than camping out at a physical store.
Well, you do that now. It's called you're getting charged with a misdemeanor because you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. No loitering.
Yeah.
All right, our next question. Dan Jorkind just left in a nice comment. He says, "Hello, everyone. I'm a big Xbox fan and found your show recently. Thanks for finding us."
Dan.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hi,
You're
Dan.
the best.
Yeah, welcome.
We love you.
Sorry, I didn't copy and paste the rest of your email. Jacob Taylor. He's a Twitch streamer, actually. You should follow him at Galutrad. He says, what new ideas do you want to see implemented in first and second party titles? Personally, I'd love to see a Forza series add an arcade mode, Mario Kart-esque racing mode. I actually like...
It was the Hot Wheels expansion.
Yeah.
And the Lego one.
Honestly, I think what Gears did with Hivebusters is actually a really cool idea. Like, and I know Sony's been doing this for years now with like Left Behind or Lost Legacy or, you know, recently actually Miles Morales, even though it's kind of a bigger deal than those titles were. But like,
Miles Morales is a complete game.
Yeah.
It's a complete game.
Yeah. Just having like a supplemental kind of expansion that's a little bit bigger than your normal expansion, but not small enough to be, you know what I mean? Like just like a standalone kind of expansion that expands lore, expands story, but still uses the mechanics and style that you remember from the, I guess, the base game. So
ODST.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Halo had been really, really good about doing that kind of stuff. Like I really liked, you know, ODST and things, you know, like those more side project stuff.
Yeah, so months ago when the Bethesda purchase was first announced, Corey and I did an emergency reacts that night. And one of the ideas we threw out was, what if Machine Games were to do a Halo spinoff, or id was to do one, or take the reins of Gears for a little bit or something like that for some side stories. And I think now with so many studios, you have the opportunity to do that. I don't necessarily want to see it with shooters anymore, though, because here's the thing. If you're going to do things like this, I welcome things like Hivebusters, but you better price that appropriately, because $20 is way too much for what that expansion is. I think like $10 would have been more acceptable, frankly, or like included as part of a season pass or something, because it's only 2.5 hours long. It's really not worth $20. I played through it today. Cool. It introduces you some new characters and really doesn't have a whole lot of connection to Gears 4 or 5. Which is fine. Yeah. That's what these are supposed to be. It's supposed to run concurrently like ODST does to Halo 2 and 3. If you're going to do stuff like this, I'd like to see some full-on side stories like Reach, like ODST. Give me a full $50, $60 experience. Now, you don't have to do that. You can also give me, 20, 30. Just make sure whatever you price it at, there's an appropriate amount of content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that's the biggest thing. Is I want to make sure I'm getting, not only am I getting a quality story, I want value for my buck. I'm fine with a short story if it's quality and it's hitting all these story beats. Hivebusters, there's so much time where you're just like walking or standing around. There's actually not a ton of combat to be had in it, to be completely frank with you. It's just like, this is like, it's fine, it's cool for what it is, but I would never have bought this for $20. I'm thankful that it was on Game Pass.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing too. Is like they price it at $20, but you pay $1 for your first month of Game Pass, or $15 for Ultimate or whatever, and you just get it.
I would love to see. They have a pretty good relationship going with Don't Nod. I would love to see Don't Nod make another game under the Xbox banner, but do like an episodic game set in any one of their RPG universes that they have now. Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Fable, Wasteland. I'd love to see something set in one of those. Again, as a supplemental title, similar to how Minecraft did Minecraft Story Mode with Telltale.
Yeah, or like...
Better than it gets credit for.
I was going to say Telltale's Tales from the Borderlands was a great example.
Yeah.
That's great. I was trying to mainly keep it in-house, but you're exactly right. I'd love to see something like that, something that's truly unique, a truly different spin, and I think Gears Tactics, to an extent, did this also from Splash Damage earlier this year.
Yeah.
So anything like that, just let's grow beyond giving just Halo and Gears these other titles. Like, I like the idea of a more arcadey mode, I guess, in Forza, which I think they've done with 2 of their more recent expansions in 3 and 4 for Horizon. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, they have that little Fast and the Furious thing in Horizon 2, which was a little But anything like that, like, cool, I'm here for it. Again, just give me a quality experience that doesn't break my bank.
Mm-hmm.
An RC Pro-Am style Forza game, like where it's the top view and you're driving, but it make it look like super realistic and stuff still, but it just looks like the top view of a miniature.
Oh,
like
give
that
me
would be
side
interesting.
Story to Hellblade that is a side scroller,
Yeah,
like a 2D Metroidvania style game. Give me that.
Yeah. All right, our next question comes from Michael Thornburg. He says, hey guys, what are the Xbox Game Studios games you're looking forward to the most? Do you think first-party games can, I think he means ever rival PlayStation or Nintendo's? We kind of already talked about what we were excited for, or like what we're looking forward to, so I guess we can go to the second part of this question. I mean, I don't really know right now if they're aiming for that, although like I'm not gonna lie to you, like Nintendo hasn't really had any huge bangers, at least for me, in the last year or so.
No.
I think the last big Nintendo game that I actually really got into was Fire Emblem. So I don't know. I don't know if their studios are really capable of like delivering that amount of like what people like about Sony's first party games right now. I think they're just built differently.
I don't think they. I don't want to say that Microsoft would not like the admiration or part of the success that Sony has, but I honestly don't think that's what they're necessarily going for. I think they would love to have a game that is like an Uncharted that's just like people just adore and just like, oh, this is great. It's a single like first person experience. Everyone like it's a new IP that everyone just gravitate towards. But it just doesn't feel like that is what they're going for, and I think that's okay. I think that they need to, like you said, we did touch on it earlier, but they need to circumvent the whole like, what's going to be the next Uncharted, and be like the next Uncharted. If you're not working on it already, like don't try to make another Uncharted game or like try to beat Uncharted. You need to do something else. You need to quit trying to create like the iPhone killer. Be like, you're gonna have more success if you stop focusing on chasing this person, because they're already going to be ahead of you. That's baked in at that point. It seems like Xbox is creating a more of an inclusive ecosystem and more of a place where you go to connect with friends than they are this like tentpole single player experience type thing. And I think that's okay. That's kind of always been in their wheelhouse as being like a really great multiplayer area. I don't know. I think that they can have success with something like that, but I also think that just with public opinion as it is and like how fanboys are kind of how they are, I don't think even if it did happen, they would never get the credit for it, because I think people are still in that PlayStation camp and they would never want to acknowledge it to a certain degree. I can tell you that based on what I know so far that's coming out, I don't think anything's in the pipeline that I know of that it's like, oh, this is going to be it, at least from what I've seen so far.
And I think it's very rare that someone takes someone on and says that they're going to do what someone else does better. I would say Forza is probably the most probably the only one that I can look at that Microsoft has that I think has, surpassed Gran Turismo, but it also took a while.
Yeah.
To be fair, the more recent ones are probably the first time that it really, really just undeniably is better than anything that Gran Turismo has done.
I also think it kind of helps that they iterate every 2 or 3 years on Forza, where Gran Turismo comes out every 5 or 6. You know what I mean? And Gran Turismo is way deeper in terms of tuning cars and customization and that kind of that area. Like Gran Turismo is for car people, right? There are people that don't play video games that play the only game they play is Gran Turismo, right? Yeah. So,
and the last thing I just wanted to say about that is Sony didn't become the level of status that they're at right now by trying to make different better versions of other games, because to be fair, their Halo killer has even to this day, I would say, is fallen short. I wouldn't even pick any of the Killzone games over Halo 5, to be honest.
Oddly enough, the Halo killer came from within the studio.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's if they stick to what they do best and just try to improve upon it and not worry about, kind of like what Nintendo had been doing for years, where they're not worried about what other people are doing. They wanted to just continue doing what they've always been doing and trying to improve upon what they've been doing and be off in their own little world, and to some extent I think that's kind of slowly what Microsoft has been doing. They've been focusing on the things that they do best, trying to improve upon them, and just stick to the we've said this multiple times, me, Josh, all of us are really big into games that are usually multiplayer. And the majority of people who fell in love with Xbox are also more focused on a lot of multiplayer stuff and doing stuff, with other people. That's why I think Microsoft hasn't really focused on that like single player stuff as much, because there isn't really, I mean, there is, people that want that stuff, and we all, I think all of us here want some of that stuff. But at the same time, like that's not why we fell in love with Xbox.
Yeah.
Like that single player stuff isn't, like that's just an added treat.
Yeah.
At this point. So
Yeah. By the way, I mean, as a big Nintendo fan, I do think sometimes people look at Nintendo stuff with either rose-colored glasses or just like the intense fanboyism. And I think Sony's that way too, right? Like, I mean, I think there's some Xbox people. Josh is drinking. He's like, all right, we'll get to our last question here so we can get out of here. It's been a long show. I know it's being split into two, but it's been a long couple hours here. And, Ashley Davidson, she gets two questions.
Double dip him.
She slipped through. Hi guys, happy holidays to you and yours. I wanted to ask what your biggest accomplishment with this show was this year and what you're looking forward to next year. Thanks. Have a safe and happy New Year and Christmas. To be fair, not all these questions were from the last week. They've been from a couple weeks, but she slipped through. Sneaky. She's like the butler for Mr. Deeds. Just
very sneaky.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest accomplishment with this show was finding the path we wanted to take it and finding the right personality, right? I think I answered that with Deshaun's question, but I mean, I think finding the show a personality and really making it what it is now is kind of the biggest accomplishment. And like, as far as next year, I hope we can keep the momentum we've had going and growing the show. And, I'm not really trying to do anything too crazy with it, right? Like, I want people to listen because they enjoy us talking about Xbox, right? And my goal is to grow the show naturally and make sure that it's still a great show for people to listen to every week. That's it, I think, Austin, who is Logan's partner on LAN Party and Laron's partner on Crossroads, he told me when we were getting ready to do the Boss Rush podcast, like, he basically paid me the biggest compliment I think we could have ever received. He said, I'm not trying to blow smoke up anybody's ass or anything, but like, your guys' Xbox show's like literally one of the best Xbox shows on the internet. And I listen to Unlocked, and I listen to, Expansion Pass, and like, some of these other shows that are pretty popular. And that was I think I'm just, when we get ready to record, I'm just kind of in autopilot, and then I go to edit it and I post it, and then I look at the numbers once or twice a week and see where people cut off, like, because I can see like when people stop listening. And I think our show is kind of right at the sweet spot at like an hour 15, hour 20 usually. And him saying that was like the biggest compliment I think I could have ever expected from people. And I mean, I attribute that to the last few months after you guys joined and finally giving the show again a personality and a direction, and I'm proud of the show. This show is like one of the proudest things on this network that we do, right? And I mean, that's all I have to say, I guess.
I'm basically in the same, the same as you. Like, I'd just be repeating myself, repeating you, but like just us taking the steps to add more people, and just like, I think it really was what it needed. And and I think it's too easy when it's just two people to get stuck in, you know, you know, the same thing kind of over and over again. You just need to have more minds to bounce things off of, I think, you know.
Yeah,
So-
plus like, you know, Jesse, if I'm playing something and you're playing something, there's enough people here that play similar games where, like, okay, if you guys are playing if you and Joe are playing Call of Duty, and like you guys can talk about Call of Duty while Josh and I sit back, or if Josh and I have something to say about Destiny or or something like you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
it's not just like me talking to you anymore, you know, like talking
Yeah.
about
Yep.
how much Destiny I played this week, and you're just kind of like, yeah, I play like once a week or every couple weeks or something, and
Yeah.
you know, having Joe and Josh really, like, I mean, I don't want to repeat myself, but I am, like, it gave the show the personality it needed to elevate it to a show that we can be proud of and send it to the next level, you know.
Yeah.
And to steal a line from Austin, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass. Like, I'm serious. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I've known Josh for a long time. I know he's a great personality, and Joe is, you know, I really appreciate your, like, one-liners and dad jokes and just, you know what I mean? Like, you guys brought what we needed for this show, and I couldn't have asked for a better crew to do the show with this year, and hopefully well into the future, you know? So I appreciate all of you. I really do. I look forward to this show in 2021. I really do.
Me too. I'm excited.
I've done a fair amount of conceptual podcasting, meaning I've worked in an environment full of creative people that all have an idea for a podcast, right? And they all have some sort of gimmick or
Gimmick.
you know what I mean? Like, there's always something.
Yeah.
I'll be like, we'll do a podcast. It's about cooking, but it's going to be cooking, and you have to cook everything with milk. And it's just like, okay, I guess.
With milk?
With cooking
Into that.
3D.
Correct. And you have to make everything in a microwave. And we see it. It's like, which actually kind of sounds like a cool show if you can make the best meal in a microwave. But they never have the staying power to continue. I've done a lot of first episode recording with people, and it never ever airs. Like, they never get past like the fact that it was recorded, and then package it and edit it and put it somewhere and have it for display. So you even get a reaction. So, and I, like, Corey, you've clearly done, I would say, all of the work here.
No, that's
I'm
not true.
I mean, I'm happy to be invited. I'm happy to show up. I love that I can come here and I have a place to voice my opinion, fairly carefree, and I don't feel like I've offended anybody when we get into, like, I don't want to say arguments, but, you know, we have discussions and we don't always agree, which is good.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like there's any animosity after that happens that I know of.
I'm actually holding grudges against two of you right now. That's fine.
It's holding a knife. And I think it's the fact, and again, like, the fact that people listen, and but I would say that, Corey, you've done most of the legwork. I know how much work you put into it. You do the recording, you do the editing, you post it up and everything like that. I appreciate that. So any success, to be honest, is largely due to the fact that you just do the other part of the job that no one else is doing. And I feel like that is, when you talk about anybody having success, if there's any success that comes out of this show, 100% I would say it's due to you and your due diligence, because just the act of continually doing it and, like, actually just doing the work leads to success. Like, talk about anybody that streams on Twitch, any filmmaker, any artist. It's just persistence and keeping at it and doing it and slowly refining it until it gets to be a good product, and then by that time, people are already picking up on it. I don't know. I'm happy to be along for the ride. I'm glad that I was invited to be here, and every week it's kind of a good time to come and talk. So as far as what's coming up next year, personal goals aside, like, I look forward to how this grows. I like hearing from the community. I like answering questions. Greg, I look forward to another round of food related questions. Although I don't know, I don't eat a whole lot of variety, so I don't know if I can answer, or if I'm qualified to answer any of them. I don't know. I'm glad that there's a dialogue happening back and forth, not only between us, but us and a community, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that sigh for, Josh? I think Josh.
No,
is just
I was stretching.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we've been sitting here for 2.5 hours.
I'm stretching my legs under my desk right now.
It is time to go, but I do want to say one thing. We strive to have a good time and make this the best possible show we can be. And like I was telling Josh the other night, I know a lot of people within not just this show, but Boss Rush in general have a lot of personal goals. And like, if you guys ever need anything, if you need me to help any possible way with your personal stuff, and that's kind of the goal here. Like, the podcast is where like our personalities and our personal stuff come together as one. And then like, you know, I know Josh is streaming a lot. Joe, I know you kind of want to get back into streaming a little bit. Jesse, I know you've got your music stuff going on. Like, I hope that there is a way that Boss Rush facilitates that in a way that we can all just kind of be better at what we're doing and do better. And that's been our motto since the beginning, since day zero. Jesse, is be better. And I hope that we can continue to be that way. I hope we can continue to show our community that, you know, there have been a couple hiccups along the way. I know Josh and I dealt with a pretty serious one on Tower Casuals earlier in the summer when we launched it. There's been a few before then, one in particular after then that I really haven't shared with a lot of people. But like, I just want to know that I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys showing up every week and making the show what it is, and making, you know, what Boss Rush is now and what I hope it'll be in the future. Cause like, this is what I want to do. You know, I want a podcast. I want to hopefully be entertaining to people. And I hope that this show has been that. So, we're going to get out of here. I just want to say thank you to you guys, and not just you guys, but the entire Boss Rush team. You know, a lot of people put a lot of hard work into this, and it's been a real pleasure, especially the back half of this year. So, I also want to thank the community for sticking with us, making us grow. We are the second biggest show on the network now, behind Nintendo Power Block. So thank you guys for listening and sending your emails and your tweets, and it's been a real pleasure this year. I want to thank everybody so much for watching. Josh, where can we find you?
As always, you can find me on Tower Casuals on Thursday nights, and then you can find me on Twitter and on Twitch at @Josh_Finn with 2 N's. And this week we're finishing up Cyberpunk, and we're going straight into Assassin's Creed Valhalla once Christmas hits.
Great game.
Nice.
I started playing that again this week. It's very good. Jesse, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me almost everywhere as Phantom NXS. And Josh, I did get a chance to, I think I mentioned it, I watched you could do the raid and stuff like that. That was pretty interesting. So
we've been streaming on Reset Tuesdays.
Yeah. So,
Joe, where can we find you?
Best place is going to be those show notes, because it's K3RNL_panic on Twitter. That's my hub.
It's a great name, by the way.
Good. Keep at it. Keep at that name. Keep clinging to it.
Yep. You can find me at IamCorianHC on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me streaming starting next week, since we're not doing any shows, on Boss Rush Games Live. I just want to take a minute to remind everybody to be kind, be better to one another. One small act can lead to a lot of good things for the people you are helping and the people you are being good to. So play games, be better. I want to thank everybody so much for watching, and we will see you in 2021. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.